We've got breaking news. eBay is making major changes to their return policy, and they're coming on this show right now to give us all the details. My name is Jeff Wilson. By day, I invest in tech companies, and at night, I invest in sports cards. Join me on my journey to profit from the hobby we all love. Hello, sports card investors, and welcome to a special episode. We've got breaking news to cover right now. eBay is about to announce a policy change that I think a lot of sellers out there are going to be really happy to hear. They're going to talk about it here in a few minutes, and they're also going to talk about some of the other policy changes that they have put in place over the last few months, designed to make their platform an even better place for buyers and sellers of trading cards. Now, you guys know eBay is the sponsor of this show, and one of the really nice things about that is that it allows us to get the inside scoop sometimes from eBay, and when there's a major change they're working on and they're about to announce, it allows us to have them on the show and break the news here first, and so that is what we're gonna do right now. And let's welcome Bob Means. He is the Director of Trading Cards at eBay. He knows all about what's about to happen. He's part of the team that put this together. So we're gonna bring Bob on right now and hear more about these important eBay policy changes. Bob, welcome back to Sports Card Investor.
Hey, Jeff, thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. I know you have been busy over there at eBay. I know there's been some changes that have taken place. The trading card industry, of course, continues to be hot. And even though prices have come down some recently, I know eBay is still seeing a ton of activity in the trading card space. What are some of the things your team has implemented to kind of keep up with the growing demand for trading cards and helping eBay kind of become more friendly to buyers and sellers who are concentrated in the trading card space?
Yeah, lots of policy changes that just the sheer magnitude of the business has forced us to really take on. I kind of want to go back in time just for a second before I talk about some of the new changes that we've announced, and one of the newest changes that we're actually announcing right here on this show. But if you go way back to January, one of the first policy changes we made was no returns, or a seller could have no returns as one of their policies. And in the days prior to that, if you had no returns, you couldn't be a top rated plus seller. You couldn't be one of our best sellers, basically, and you get the discount that comes along with that. So we changed that to allow sellers to have no returns be part of their policy. And then later in January, we released eBay Standard Envelope, which put tracking light onto sub $20 cards, and that opened up a new world for people to also work towards being a top rated seller. And then in April, we added a new policy that on the 5th day, an unpaid item can be automatically canceled, and includes a note on the buyer's account that says this is an unpaid item on this account. So the latest announcement that we had, and this went out and it's effective on June 30th, is a new bid retraction policy. So the new bid retraction policy is pretty big, and what it basically means is if you put in a bid, and then you decide that you want to retract it, you have to go to the seller and ask the seller for basically permission to accept that bid retraction. It's pretty big. It's a pretty significant change. The goal here is that sellers will still be very, judicious with their use of retractions, and they'll recognize that mistakes still do happen, and people do type, rather than put $100 in, you throw an extra zero in there accidentally, and suddenly your bid goes flying through the roof. But in those situations, people tend to recognize the mistake right away, send in the request like, hey, oops, I made a mistake. Can you please retract this? And we think that most sellers are going to take advantage of that situation and trust that somebody who needs a bid retracted will retract it.
So what was the impetus for changing this? Why did eBay decide to change the bid retraction policy?
Well, the auction business in general for sports trading cards and collectible card games and non-sports trading cards is incredibly important. Our auction business is very strong. It over-indexes to the rest of eBay. It's very, very popular for our sellers and our buyers. Sellers love the fact that, the conversion rates on auctions are, of course, super high. They see good market realization or price realization when they run auctions. And then, of course, from the buying side, buyers like the fact that they can approach auctions one of two ways. You can put the price in that you're willing to pay and then walk away from it and you're willing to pay that amount or maybe less based off of the bid activity against it, or you can try to snipe. And in either cases, auction has been an incredibly successful piece of our business, and it's a reason why the sports card business and the trading card business is doing so well at eBay. But that being said, there has been bad behavior out there that we need to address, and bid retraction helps us do that. Along with all these other policy changes, we're whittling away at bad buyer behavior, or not necessarily bad buyer, but bad behavior on the site. And we want auctions to be as trustworthy as any way of doing business. And so the bid retraction policy is a way for us to make sure that people are not playing games with the bids, because quite frankly, the number one issue with bid retraction is the second place finisher, right? Like when you're the guy who an auction goes sideways when you had a legitimate bid in there and somebody else put a crazy bid that was never going to happen, or retracts the bid at the last second after you think you've lost and suddenly you're the winner again. None of that feels good. And we really wanted to address that. And so the policies are still in place. If a bid is retracted and you're the second place bidder, you'll go back to being the first place bidder at wherever the bid retraction occurred. So, if you think about it this way, if you had a $20 bid in there, but you maxed your 50 and someone put a 60, it doesn't take you up to 50. It takes you back down to the 20 when the top bid is retracted. So we just wanted to make sure that everyone, that the auction system was a fair and strong shopping experience for anybody who uses it. And that's the main reason for changing the bid retraction policy. And that goes live June 30th.
That's, I appreciate the fact that eBay is looking out for both sellers and buyers and is trying to make these changes proactively. I'm sure some of it is in response to feedback from customers, and other is kind of thinking, other changes are kind of thinking forward about how you can make the platform better. And I know there's another change that we're going to break some news here on Sports Card Investor with eBay. This is a big one from what I understand, something that's really, really designed to help people who use eBay's platform solve one of the frustration points that people have had around trading cards. So I'd love to hear more about this new thing you're going to announce here for the first time.
Yeah, so we're a big company, and doing things that are specific to what we call a vertical, in this case trading cards, is always somewhat challenging to have a niche that has to be run a certain way. But one of the things that we think is critical to, again, improve the confidence on both the buying and the selling side around everything on eBay is the return window. And so one of the things that we're going to enact is the return windows that are going to be go forward starting on the 30th of July. So again, there's the 30-day notifications effectively going out today. It's going to be in your inbox, and it's going to talk about this. And then there's an additional 10 days on top of that because we need to let some auctions close. But what's going to happen is at that point, your return policy is going to match the return window that a buyer gets. So if a seller has a 30-day return policy or a 14-day return policy, you're still going to have a 30-day or a 14-day opportunity to return an item that's not lit, that significantly didn't match the listing. If a seller has a 0 return policy or a no returns policy, then you have a 3-day window to make a return on that should the item not be what you thought it was. And again, one of the easiest ways to think about this is if you buy a 9 Beckett whatever and an 8.5 shows up, you clearly didn't get what you were supposed to get, and that there needs to be a return window, and you should work it out with the seller and get your return in place, and everything is fine. But we don't think that people necessarily need, if a seller wants to have a quicker return policy, we don't think people should necessarily be sitting on a card for 28 days before they realize that it wasn't the card that they originally wanted. So this will help us have a return policy that more naturally matches what the sellers are trying to do. And it'll add a lot of clarity for the buyers on what exactly when they're buying something, they'll know exactly what their turnaround has to be. If something goes wrong with this, it'll be very clear. It's going to be, you're going to look at the listing, you're going to see what the return policy of that seller is, and you're going to know that that's what you have to act to if something goes wrong with the transaction, which again, doesn't happen that frequently. But if a mistake is made, we need you to jump on it. We want you to jump on it. And we want to make sure there's enough time to jump on it.
Yeah, this is a big deal, because I know one of the frustrations that some people have had on eBay, unfortunately, there's some people, eBay's policies are very, very friendly to the buyers, which as a buyer who buys a lot of stuff on eBay, it's a wonderful thing to have buyer-friendly policies. But at the same time, I know there have been some bad actors who unfortunately have used the buyer-friendly eBay policies in certain situations to perhaps return a card, maybe because they saw the price of the card dip. You know, they'd had it for a few weeks and now they're saying, oh, well, the card wasn't what was promised to me, but in reality, you know, the card price had dropped 20%, 50% or something of that nature. This, it sounds like you're tightening up that window. So if the seller has no return policy at all, if they have a no return policy window, which a lot of sellers on eBay opt to do that if they're selling trading cards, the buyer only has 3 days from the time they receive it to create a return if the item, and only in that case if the item is what they're going to say is not what was specified. But it creates that very, very short window of time, which really takes out the factor of somebody having buyer's remorse a few weeks down the road. I assume that's kind of what you're trying to prevent with this.
Yeah, I mean, volatility is a real thing in this industry, and we recognize that. And you know, this goes both ways as well. Like we will have to keep our eyes when cards are going up in value. I've also heard anecdotals about suddenly a seller not wanting to make a transaction as well, and we recognize these things. And the reason why I went through the spiel about all of the things we're doing is people should start recognizing that unpaid strikes are out there. If you know, we're documenting these things. Like we need to start seeing the people that are potentially doing anything that's making the platform not be the most trustworthy place that it can be. So, I mean, all of these things are additive. We're going to keep making changes. I stress strongly for people to read those emails. If you're a trading card seller, when you see that eBay email come in, check it, make sure that there's not a new change coming, because we're not done. There's more things that we need to do, and there's more things that we need to address, and we will continue to do those to just, again, make this the safest marketplace there is. But the way you explain that is exactly right. I mean, if there's a no return policy, there's a no return policy. We need to put some teeth into that. And again, if you don't truly get what you were supposed to get, there's going to always be enough time for you to make that return. The issue that we need to solve here is volatility, buyer trust, seller trust, and just start continuing to hunt down any bad actors on either side that are doing anything that is to the detriment of the trading platform. Yeah,
this is really good news for the sports card hobby, and thank you for sharing this policy change here with the audience. So, I mean, it sounds like when you're considering these policies, you're trying to really take into account both the buyer and the seller and doing policy changes that offer some form of benefit to both of them.
Yeah, we have to. Without a doubt, there's more buyers than there are sellers, right? So just one of your earlier statements of we always side with the buyer. I know that I've heard the same thing. I've had it said to my face and whatnot, but there's so many more buyers out there that mathematically, eventually it's going to feel like you're siding with the buyers, but we do pay attention to what's happening on the sell side. Both people are our customers, and it's critical for us to succeed to have happy sellers, but it's also critical for us to have happy buyers. And this goes back to just, I want buyers to know that the vast majority of our buyers are wonderful, but I just need people to understand that there are rules of how to behave and the right way of doing business on both sides. And it's just critical that anyone's out there who's taking advantage of any of these situations, we start to find them and identify them and make it a little bit harder for them to do anything that's going to make either side of the business feel less than solid.
Well, and the way you've designed these, I mean, the return policy, you're still giving buyers a window if they do receive an item that is legitimately not the correct item. They still do have a window to rectify that. It's just a tighter window now. And it puts more onus on them to be able to, check your cards the moment you get them in. And I mean, that's a good lesson for everybody out there. If you buy something on eBay and those cards arrive at your door, open that package and check them and make sure you got what you were intending to get. And if there's an issue, deal with that issue right away.
That's the exact right thing. If there's an issue, I think most likely it's a mistake. And I think a quick email through the messenger system to the seller to say, this happened. This looks weird. I ordered this and I got that. Like, they're going to jump on it, and there's no reason to not jump on that. So I have a strong degree of confidence. I said this in the last time. We do so many transactions, and the vast majority of them go perfectly fine with happy buyers, happy sellers. So, and that's just the world that we're trying to work towards, is where people know what they're doing. And they, again, the bid retraction is a big piece of this as well. Like, people need to understand that there's an impact to not doing business on either side in the best possible way. There's an impact to not being a good customer. There's an impact to not being a good seller. And we need to do what we need to do to make sure that everyone has confidence in the system. So this is a big step towards that. I think there's more to come, and there will continue to be more to come. I can't say anything else, but we're looking forward to just continuing to find the appropriate model from a verticalization perspective for this category, and then learn from this and all the other categories that can benefit from it. This has been an iterative process for us. We're learning a lot as we go, and we're listening to all that feedback. I love that you used that term earlier. The feedback that's going to be on this video is going to be great. The feedback that we're going to get at the national from people, the feedback that we get at our own top seller summits and whatnot. And, people don't realize this, but we're reading all the boards. We're looking at everything. We're seeing the Facebook posts. We go over it all, and it's all valuable and it's all meaningful to us. And the day that I can get this platform to be a place where, it really feels like an edge case when something goes wrong, then I'll feel like we've done what we've set out to do. So that's the goal. Make it safe, make it good, make it fun, make it engaging, do all those things, and make sure that it's a platform that everyone is comfortable using.
That's an awesome goal. And I'm very happy that eBay has a team such as yourself, and I know others dedicated to trading cards who are able to treat trading cards, as a little different in some cases than other categories on eBay, and institute changes that are unique to the nature of trading cards. And I'm curious, Bob, you and your team, being in the trading card space, are you collectors? Do you personally collect?
Yeah, we are, and to various degrees. And a couple of the guys on my team are really, really into it, including sports mem side of it. So it's cards, it's basketballs, it's pictures and signed jerseys. They're really, really into it. I'm a bit of a novice. I'm a big fan of completing sets from my childhood. That's been a fun journey to find the top sets from sort of my key. I mean, I have the same story that almost all of us have. Like, if I think about the cards that I used to have in a shoebox that I'm sure got tossed in the trash at some point, or got, I tried to make paper airplanes out of, or whatever, I had them too. And so it's fun going back and collecting those sets and completing those sets. When I get the cards, there's some of those players that bring back a flash of memory of being at the ballpark, being at, in my case, Candlestick or Oakland Coliseum, and watching a game and being with my family and all those things. So I really enjoy that side of it. We have people on our team who are really into the sort of investment flipping kind of component of it. We have people that are really onto the CCG side of it and really like the gaming component. So yeah, there's a lot of enthusiasm for it, and we're learning a little bit every single day too. We really need to leverage the expertise of our buyers and our sellers. They're the ones who teach us the most. We're watching some of these things happen from a trend perspective that, and sometimes seem completely shocking, and sometimes make all the sense in the world. Some of the things like when the Michael Jordan show was aired, Michael Jordan took off, right? Suddenly I think we talked about this, but Michael Jordan went nuts. When Kobe tragically passed away, Kobe Bryant took off. Basketball playoffs are happening right now. And you can see some of the results in everyday cards based off of the results of the games. It's really kind of amazing. So that's a fun thing to watch. We've all really enjoyed getting into that aspect of it. And I think all of us in some way are participating as either collectors or investors or flippers, or just very casual participants in the total business.
Yeah, that's cool to hear. That's cool to hear. And you're talking a little bit about some of the trends you've seen on eBay. The market, in terms of prices, has come down some recently. I'm still personally seeing a lot of buying and selling activity, though. Just even though the prices are, I'm just curious what trends you're seeing on eBay overall.
Yeah, the macro level is good, and I think that's because there's always going to be a collector, and that collector was here 4 years ago, and that collector's still here. And again, I know it's not a sports card thing. The CCG side of the business continues to remain super strong. And for anybody that's interested in that non-sports world, like Marvel cards continue to be great because we're seeing all the interaction. Loki just came out, and there's just a lot of interest in some of those non-sport items. But again, for sports cards, the overall macro seems really, really strong. We continue to see, really kind of special, unique cards come through the site and get great price evaluations. We recently sold a very rare Wilt Chamberlain. That was cool to see him go. I love seeing, like, if the old school is going to remain popular while the new school continues to remain so popular. And it's great to see a guy like Wilt Chamberlain, who was so great for the game and everything, for him to have a cool card come through the system and spike for an amazing amount of money. So that stuff is still fun to watch. The unique cards are coming through. The total macro level seems to be super strong. Basketball continues to be the strongest category, but and we're not really seeing anything fall apart when it comes to baseball or hockey, and soccer continues to grow, and tennis and all the fringe sports, we've talked about this, continue to do great. Wrestling continues, UFC. So there's a lot of good out there in the total market.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear. Definitely a bright future ahead for sure. Bob, I'll get you out of here on this. You mentioned earlier being at the National. Tell us about your plans there, and if people want to come, meet the eBay team, are they available to come by?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're looking forward to the National. I think it's going to be fun to get out and get out there with the people again and just have the conversations and the one-on-ones. We'll have a booth. We'll be spending a lot of time there talking to a lot of our sellers, but there will be people walking around probably with some shirt like this. If you see an eBay shirt, go up to them, tell them who you are. I'm sure it's either going to be me or members of my team. We're going to be out and about. We want the feedback. We want to talk to you. We want to hear about the challenges and the opportunities that you see. A lot of the things that are still coming down the road in trading cards all start with what people have told us would make trading cards even more compelling on eBay. And so you guys are at the head of, you're the vanguard, right? You're the ones who are at the point, you're paying attention to everything that's happening out there. So yeah, we'll be at the National. We'd love to talk to anyone, and look for me personally. I look forward to meeting a lot of people. I know you're going to be there, Jeff. I'm hoping you'll swing by our booth at some point. We'll probably have some really cool cards on display. We're going to have some of our bigger sellers make sure that we've got some great merchandise just for people to put, some eye candy basically for people to take a look at. I know we'll probably have some swag to hand out, and there's always going to be these great buyer kits that people can take that'll allow people to get going as a new buyer if they're interested in trying that as well. So yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome. I hope to see you, and I hope to see other people there.
I will absolutely see you there. Looking forward to it as well. I think it's going to be a great event this year. Excellent. Well, Bob, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks for coming on Sports Card Investor to break your news.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care. All right, guys, I was really happy Bob was able to come on the show and break that news. And by the way, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button and that little bell icon, because we're going to continue to bring you news like this when it breaks, and you're going to want to make sure you get all the latest. And the best way to do that is hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon, so you're always notified of when new things are happening, new news that we are breaking. Hope you enjoyed our special episode. We'll see you back tomorrow with our next regular episode. Take care.